Hello, everybody. It is Hugo with another edition of the Live at 5. I'm just here playing around with my little tools that I got going on. But as always, I want to welcome you guys to your 15-minute space every day to learn a little bit more about real estate. I am your host, Hugo Quintanilla. Like I said, realtor in Maryland. Your realtor, Hugo.com is the website. 240-389-4846 is the phone number. And Hugo at LNF.com is the email. If you have a comment or question, feel free and leave it on the comments below or in the chat, whatever works easiest for you, and we will get to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much. And as the day has been going on, and really the next couple of weeks go on, it's cold. You've kind of noticed that I've been wearing a hoodie for most of these lives. I personally don't like to run my heating systems too high. So I'd much rather have a space heater or maybe just bundle up instead of having a whole full blown system for the house. It helps save money and helps, my not just my pocket, but also the environment for how much we end up spending year to year. But I wanted to talk to you guys about winter and about keeping your houses warm and good ways to do that. So today's lesson is going to be about doing just that. We're going to winterize like a pro. 5 essential tips for preparing your home for the cold season. And it can vary, from where you are in the nation. It can be as early as October when we started seeing some flurries in higher elevations. And then, it could go even as late as into January for next year for really the cold snap to kick in. We've started to see a lot of cold temperatures already, a few snowstorms starting to come towards the East Coast. So I wanted to take this time and cover this article that actually comes from House Logic. So I will show you guys that real quick. It is a really quick read, and I would highly recommend that you check it out. I will share it. Let me get my name and stuff off of there. Sorry about that. And you can see right here. We'll share it after the live so you guys can read it at home. But really, good tips. That's why I think it's worthwhile covering. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Give me 1 second. Let me put up my notes. All right. And you can do a lot to winterize your home. The most important thing that we want to do when winterizing your home is making sure that we're taking care of major systems, HVACs, making sure that we're taking care of water systems. We're also taking care of the outside gutters, making sure that we have the tree limbs and any sort of shrubbery that might be or landscaping that we need to take care of outside is being addressed. It is something that can come back and haunt us in the long run if we don't keep an eye on it, because what inevitably ends up happening with a lot of these storms is something will blow the object over. Like, for example, something will fly, hit a tree, or a tree limb will fall, and then you'll have something either land on the house, land on a neighbor's house, causing you extra expense. When we talk about water, there's only but so much that we can do when it comes to preparation. But you want to make sure that if you are a area that is covered with flooding or are propense to flooding, that your sump pump is in working condition and working order. Get it serviced whenever possible. Change it whenever you need to. It is an electrical pump and an electrical system that is near water. So I would highly suggest getting it serviced and making sure that it's working order, because it's actually saving and pumping out water from your foundation. The one of the biggest things that can damage properties is water, and water seeping into the foundation is a very easy way for you to start to get a compromised foundation, not just there, but also damage the rest of the home, because the weight of the home will be in an awkward position. You could have cracking, you could have breaking, you could have a lot of problems. So water we want to take care of, and then the internals. We want to make sure that we're taking care of the systems that are going to keep us through the winter, so we don't have an emergency phone call. There are emergencies that just happen. Sometimes the system just kaputs, but if you can take the time to invest a little bit of maintenance into these systems, or even having a service plan that will help cover a home warranty that will help cover these systems, is imperative. I would highly recommend it because not only will you save yourself the brunt of one of these systems going out of business, but you will give yourself a little bit of leeway when it comes to the bills. And what more could you need, you know? So we'll talk a little bit about insulating windows, trimming tree branches, inspecting your fireplace, checking the roof, and cleaning out gutters and downspouts. That's really the five areas that the article covers. And we'll talk a little bit about what you can do on your own to make sure that that is all taken care of in hopefully the fall or when it's warmer, so that in the wintertime you don't have to worry about it. I've been seeing a lot of TikToks about making sure that your outer hose bib is patched up and taken care of for the winter. That's a very good idea. So if you see that, make sure to give it a like. What they're referring to is making sure that the outer hose bib, where your hose connects to the downspout or the faucet outside of your property. So when you're outside of your property, this could be anywhere. This is typically in the backyard. You have a downspout that has water. In the wintertime, that can be very susceptible to breaking, because and to temperatures, because it goes directly outside and usually has very little insulation. Usually tends to be metal. So you want to make sure that you take the hose off and you seal it. You dump out as the you close it and you seal it so that you run as less of a risk as possible of having water break out of there. The last thing you want is water breaking inside the home or outside the home. If you have it outside the home, you want to get it away from the foundation as soon as possible. And if it's inside the home, you want to make sure that you turn off the water as soon as possible, and then take care of the affected areas, which could be, depending on where the leak is, it could be a lot. Hopefully it's lower on the bottom and only on the basement. But if it goes high and starts dripping down, oh, that's a disaster. So definitely taking your time to prevent can be worth your while. But let's go back to the article. The importance of insulation when it comes to insulating the windows, it kind of makes sense. You keep the property closed off from the elements, it's gonna hold its heat better than if you leave it drafty, if it has more holes in it. The more you could seal up the home and the less you open the home, the less you'll waste on bills. It's a direct fact. And when your parents used to say, you're letting out all my good air, that's what they were talking about. You're letting out all the either a hot air or the cold air. And you'll really realize homes are a sealed system. That's why sometimes you'll get odors in homes that will stay with the home because it's a sealed system. Um, you can take V-strip, weather stripping, rope caulk, or shrink wrap and nail polish for cracks, and use different types of draft cover methods to make sure that you're taking care of those little drafts. Each one of them has their own pros and cons and amount of DIY ability that you can do. For example, taking shrink wrap to the shrink film to the whole window is kind of extreme, but some people enjoy it. They make decorations out of it. They make the most out of it. So it can be fun, and it's something seasonal that will not damage the windows. So making sure that we're not damaging the property with our tactics is also key. Let me go back down here. Okay. And then next up, with kind of doing an inspection of the outside before you kind of bundle everything up for the winter, you got to look at the tree branches. You got to look at the state of your trees and your landscaping. Your trees and your landscaping can be very beautiful during the spring and during the summertime, without a doubt. But come wintertime, you have to start to consider which Flowers are going to be coming back next year. Which ones are you going to replant? Which ones are you not? If you have a garden, you're going to think about your plans for next year for that garden, how you're going to till that garden, what seeds you're going to sow for that garden. You got to think about the seasonal climate for your area. So, doing a little bit of research about your landscape and the flowers and plants and trees that you have can be a huge help. One of the coolest things that I ever found was Snapchat doing a filter where I believe that if you go through the Snapchat camera and you look at a, a plant and look at a flower, it will actually name the plant or flower for you or help you name it in the family. So there's some really neat tools out in the world that will help you identify a lot of the vegetation around you. You might even be lucky enough to have a landlord or an owner or someone, a seller that knows the what they've planted, and that is great information. It helps you better upkeep the plants around you, and if you need to protect any, it kind of gives you better indications on what to do. Some of those things will inevitably die in the fall and winter. That's the circle of life that they will have. They will either go into hibernation or they will perish, and you have to replant them again. So, knowing what you need to replant and where and when will help you not only have good expectations on your returns on your investment and your time, but also help you grow your garden in a better, more efficient way. Because there's no point in you growing and putting so much work into a garden that's never going to fulfill your needs. Making sure you're trimming any large branches away from the property is crucial because you could actually save yourself a lot of damage. A branch can travel a long way when it's flying, and they're very, very heavy. The last thing you want is a branch or a tree falling. And sometimes it's inevitable. I personally had a tree just topple over because it was just dry inside and, probably had some sort of infestation. There's sometimes that you just don't see these things. So if you can take the time to maybe get a landscaper or an arborist, a tree professional to look at your property and give you a consultation, give you a little bit of knowledge about the vegetation in your property, it's a great investment of your time and money. It's one call and you'll learn so much information. It's a pretty neat report too. Inspect your fireplace. Wood burning fireplaces can be a great addition to a home. They're really an easy way to stay warm and to use natural resources. Yes, they can be dirty. Yes, they can be messy. Yes, they can be dangerous. Yes, they need to be upkept. But there are so many benefits that, if done properly, if done safely, if done in a correct way, you and your family can share in really the beauty and wonder of having a fireplace. I used to only have a fireplace that we would use once, maybe twice a year. But then as I grew older, we moved into a property where it literally became more of a habit to use it. And we had multiple fireplaces. So, it was kind of easier to use them to heat in the areas that we were going to be instead of using these big systems that are so costly sometimes and burn fossil fuels like oil or natural gas. There is always the question of which one's more expensive. Really, the one that you want is electricity. It's renewable, it's cheap, it's there's subsidies for it, and they're even giving money back for it. They're huge green initiatives and Ready Star initiatives, energy efficiency initiatives that are helping organizations give back not just to their clients, but also to the customers. So thinking about that is something to watch. But I would also caution you, make sure you're working with reputable companies that know what they're doing and have been in the business for some time. I'm hearing some stuff on some troubles in solar panel land, but I'll let you guys a little bit know about that a little bit more once I get more clarification on what's happening. But personally, I think solar panels are a great initiative. They're a great technology and really can make a property not just more inexpensive to operate, but part of the future and can really have unlimited potential. I've seen some solar panel properties that are newer that really show incredible promise. It's sometimes the older ones that are just, a couple of panels slapped on top that, okay, you might not see the full benefit of it, but you're definitely getting the financial benefit of it. So thinking about that is something. But, again, thinking about good companies and thinking about good reviews and thinking about what you've seen in the past and their track record is essential, because you can waste a lot of time with a bad company, and some of these contracts can be very difficult when it comes time to sell, because the biggest snag with some of these contracts is that it's a lease, and the lease has to be made transferable to the person that's purchasing it, and sometimes that can be tricky. So are the panels going to be paid off? Are they going to be rented? What's that situation? You got to know. And actually, that brings me into checking the roof, because when you take your time to inspect the fireplace and get a professional chimney sweep to come in and check it out, they're inevitably going to check the roof. They are not roofers though, so I would highly suggest that when you get a chance, every maybe 5 years, take someone up there, have them check it out. It doesn't take a lot of time. You know, you got to be careful you're not getting oversold on something you don't need. But if you feel like there's been a storm and there's been damage on your roof, or you hear something fall on your roof, or you hear something crawling upstairs, don't shy away from it. Please take it as an opportunity, as an invitation to explore your home and to learn more about how to prevent this in the future, because that sound did something somewhere, and you got to make sure, did that break something? Did that rip something? Houses are strong, but they're not indestructible, the most of them. So you gotta know, hey, did that panel just fly off? Did I just lose some shingles? Is part of my siding damaged? You have some bizarre stories, and you got to be careful too. Sometimes it's not so much the weather or the elements, sometimes it's human design. We inevitably do things without knowing. Keeping your grill, your stove, your grill, your barbecue, keeping that far enough distance away from your home is something that so many people fail to do. And then after 10, 15 years of cooking in the same place, you would move the barbecue, the grill, and you just see melted siding. Just warped melted siding, just because these people haven't realized that this heat for 15 years here cooking in this spot, they've gotten two grills in the same spot, that it just inevitably melted the plastic siding or vinyl siding, whatever it is. I think it's vinyl, because it's not plastic. It's supposed to help slow down the burn process. So that's another key thing that we want to prevent is burning. So having a roof that's leak proof, having a roof that's integral, that actually is going to support the weight on it and has good wood on it, are some of the easiest ways to make sure that your property stands the test of time and disaster. So I could get on my soapbox all day long about that and fires. You guys heard me the other day. But last but not least, while you're up there on the roof, take some time, and either you or the person you send up there, clean the downspouts, clean the gutters. I was very lucky, and this is a shout out to the gutter helmet company. I'll get a link for you guys. I think I have a discount with them, but they have been phenomenal. It's almost a gutter guard, so to speak. Um, and basically, it protects the gutters from any animals, any leaves, any debris coming into the gutter system, and has saved us such a hassle of having someone go up there and clean the gutters every year. Cleaning gutters is a very easy, simple way to take care of a property. If you have too many leaves in gutters, they will inevitably end up overfilling the gutter, and you'll have a situation where you're going to have water dripping all over the side of the home. Again, I was talking about earlier, water near foundation, near the sides of the home is what we don't want. We want want to keep that away from there because water damages properties. So make sure that you're taking your time to do these preventive steps like cleaning your gutters, sealing your windows, checking the corners and the edges of your windows, making sure that you're checking your fireplace, checking your downspouts, your gutters, and your roof. Make sure you and trimming your trees. Make sure you're doing all of that so that you have less to worry about this winter. It's a few easy steps to go a long way. I'll share again this article with you so that you guys have it to read over and at your own leisure. Thank you again so much for watching. If you have any questions or any suggestions for the show, feel free and leave them down below or go ahead and send them to my email at hugo@lnf.com. My website is yourrealtorhugo.com and my phone number is 240-389-4846. And I'm licensed in Maryland. So if you have any questions or need help, let me know. I speak Spanish and English, just in case anybody was curious. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you again for watching and have a great evening. Bye.